Hi everyone, in this video I'll show you my top 5 large fruited tomato varieties of the season. Moreover, each of them not only gave me a good crop but also turned out to be tasty, which is very important for me personally. I grow my tomatoes on sandy soil and as a rule it doesn't produce as large fruits as, for example, on loam. But these 5 varieties were able to show a very good result. Well, let's get acquainted with them.
Tomato Express is on its way. Take your seats, we're getting started.
So let's go in ascending order. The 5th place in today's review is occupied by the Whetstone Wonder tomato. This variety is an heirloom from Kentucky, with a history that can be traced back more than 100 years. The potato leaf plants proved to be disease-resistant and showed strong growth vigor. By midsummer, they were 6 feet 7 inches or 2 meters tall when grown in 3 stems. The tomatoes are pink in color, ranging from flat round to slightly elongated, heart-shaped. At the same time, the plants produced only large fruits, and there were no small ones at all. This was easily confirmed at the first weighing, during which the tomatoes weighed between 1 pound and 2 ounces and 1 pound and 5 ounces, or 506 and 596 grams. Inside, the flesh is red-pink in color, which is also very juicy and sweet. Although externally it did not seem that juicy, but it is. Sweetness without perceptible acidity make Whetstone Wonder an excellent tomato for salads or, for example, for sandwiches, as well as in principle for a wide variety of different types of processing. Another tomato that reinforces my belief that varieties with potato foliage in most cases produce delicious fruit. A high-yielding and flavorful tomato, and I think these are the reasons it has been preserved and passed from hand to hand for decades. 5th place, Whetstone Wonder, and let's move on.
One of the most enjoyable discoveries of the season was the Ruby Surprise tomato.
And it is this tomato that gets the honorary 4th place and an aluminum medal. According to some information, the variety originates from Poland. It is also indeterminate. In the middle of the season, I stopped the plants at a height of 6 feet 3 inches or 1.9 meters. Tomatoes are rounded in shape, dark red in color, with a noticeable ribbing. And although in one bunch there were not a lot, namely from 2 to 3 fruits, they were all quite large, and this size was maintained throughout the season. The weight of tomatoes immediately overcame the 600-gram mark and amounted from 1 pound and 5 ounces to 1 pound and 7 ounces, or 600 to 666 grams. Despite the thin skin, the tomato walls are quite thick, and the flesh is ruby-colored, meaty, and moderately dense. The flavor is very pleasant. The first impression was as if I had drunk a lot of freshly squeezed tomato juice. A large amount of sweetness is complemented by a not too pronounced, but still noticeable and spicy acidity. The flavor is bright, and I was completely satisfied with it. I think the 3 words that most accurately characterize the Ruby Surprise tomato variety are juicy, sweet, and fragrant. So overall, the surprise was a success. I will not repeat about the size of the fruit. I think you already realized that it more than satisfied me. And from the 4th place, let's move on to the winners. And right now, let's talk about a tomato from Italy. I grow Italian varieties every year, and this time I came across a very interesting tomato called Spadone Gigante. And it is this Italian tomato that opens the top 3. The authors of the variety described it as follows: neither photos nor videos can convey all its power, and these huge fruits must be held in your hands. The variety is a masterpiece. And in this, I completely agree with them. Let's start with the fact that the plants are really very vigorous. In midsummer, their height was 7 feet and 2 inches, or 2.2 meters when growing in 2 stems. The tomatoes have an interesting shape, reminiscent of ox heart, but more elongated. As for the name Spadone Gigante, if with the word gigante I think everything is more or less clear, then Spadone is such a class of Italian two-handed swords, which as a rule were longer and heavier than regular medieval long swords. Well, it's not surprising that this name was chosen for such large and beautiful tomatoes. The weight of the first fruits ranged from 1 pound and 2 ounces to 1 pound and 9 ounces, or 512 to 718 grams. The flesh inside is bright red and moderately juicy. As for the flavor, it did not reveal itself immediately, but during the season it varied from good to very good. Toward the end of the summer, the flavor became deeper and more balanced. Spadone Gigante is a great option for those who prefer to grow classic red tomatoes, and it's also very productive and not too demanding in terms of care, which are undoubtedly its strong features. And from the bronze medalist, we move on to the second place in today's video, which is a tomato from Kazakhstan. Almati Tricolor tomato, another masterpiece by Vitaly Alifirov, which enriched my tomato collection. A variety with flat round fruits of green pink color. It is indeterminate, but in my case it was not too tall. When growing in 2 stems, the height of the plants was only about 5 feet 7 inches or 1.7 meters. Unlike green when ripe varieties, the ripeness of these bicolors is much easier to determine. The color of tomatoes acquires noticeable bronze and pink shades, and the not too large number of fruits in each bunch was more than compensated for by their good size. The first tomatoes weighed around 13 ounces or 380 grams, and the biggest one reached an impressive 1 pound and 10 ounces or 748 grams. The flesh is beautiful and juicy, and of course, I must point out that Almati Tricolor is a very tasty tomato. It really is much more juicy than it looks at first glance. The flavor is sweet and truly exotic. The more I try such tomatoes, the more I wonder if there are tasteless tricolors at all. Perhaps someday I will come across such varieties, but so far I haven't met them, and that's great. In general, if you like such tomatoes, then you will 100% enjoy Almati Tricolor, a very fragrant tomato that you want to eat. And now it's time to introduce the winner of today's top and the owner of the first place. One of my favorites of the season, without any doubt, was Alifirov's secret tomato. Well, it's time to show it to you. Yes, that's right, 2 varieties bred by Vitaly Alifirov took the top steps of the podium at once. As for the winner, Alifirov's secret showed itself to the best advantage. I know that there are 2 versions of this variety, and I got the one I wanted, the version with a potato leaf. The stems grew very strong. The plants are strongly foliated and tall. Their height in the middle of the season when growing in 2 stems exceeded 6 feet 7 inches or 2 meters. Also, despite the wide foliage, the variety proved to be resistant to diseases. The tomatoes are very large, slightly ribbed, purple in color and elongated in shape. They reminded me of ostrich eggs. During the season, the weight of the fruit only increased, and if the first tomatoes I picked weighed 13 ounces or 387 grams, then later they reached 1 pound and 3 ounces or 536 grams, and the largest tomato passed the 800-gram mark and weighed over 1 pound and 13 ounces, or 836 grams. The flesh is purple-pink in color, and despite their large size, the tomatoes are very tasty. Sweetness and unusual fruity acidity are experienced immediately. In a word, Alifirov's secret is a delicious tomato, which I really enjoyed, and its first place is absolutely deserved. Well, that's how my story about the 5 largest fruited varieties of the season turned out. In addition, I will only say that I do not pretend to break any records, and my main goal was and still is the taste of tomatoes. That's why the 5 varieties I told you about today are well worth growing.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe, and of course, love tomatoes, grow tomatoes. This is the Lucky Garden channel, and see you soon.
Where do you turn when you need someone? Where do you hide when you just can't